So I've been active in the Dragon Ball fandom for quite a while, and one thing I've always found very funny about Ultra Instinct Omen is I remember back when the anime was running, people were saying that they actually preferred not only the look of Ultra Instinct Omen, but also the overall portrayal. Now, not everyone felt this way, but there was a select group who really liked Ultra Instinct Omen in comparison to the mastered variant of Ultra Instinct. And I think that's very interesting, considering that the new variant of Ultra Instinct, the true quote-unquote Ultra Instinct variant, is so ridiculously reminiscent of the Ultra Instinct Omen that everyone praised in the original anime. They are different, but they also have some commonality that people really overlook. So, today I'm going to be talking about the similarities between Ultra Instinct Omen, Goku's new variation of Ultra Instinct, and Super Saiyan 4. Because actually, Super Saiyan 4 and true Ultra Instinct, and even the original Ultra Instinct Omen, have very, very similar themes. And so I wanted to talk about that today because just little clues here and there that people overlook about the connection between these two transformations. So originally in the anime, when Goku first achieved Ultra Instinct Omen, something that people overlook about what caused Ultra Instinct Omen to activate in the anime is that it always activated automatically in near-death situations. In fact, the narrator says a few times that Goku's body is the one that actually activates Ultra Instinct and not Goku himself. And that is because Goku's version of Ultra Instinct Omen first activated in response to being in a near-death situation. Not only that, when he first tapped into Ultra Instinct Omen, he did not understand how he did it, nor did he remember the things that he did, really, while he was doing it. Like, he didn't even understand consciously the movements he was making. He was just essentially along for the ride, which is very, very different in comparison to how Goku uses Ultra Instinct Omen in the manga up until true Ultra Instinct. And there is a huge reason behind that, and that is because when Goku is first in Ultra Instinct Omen for the first time, Goku, as a great ape, has always been unconscious, okay? You'll notice that when Vegeta goes into his great ape form, he can speak. His ego is present in his Ultra Ego form and in his great ape form, because those forms are centered around the mind. The reason Goku's Ultra Instinct Omen becomes instinctual in terms of action when Goku first achieves it in the Tournament of Power in the anime is for the same reasons that when Goku becomes a great ape, he has absolutely no control over his actions. So you can think of the original Ultra Instinct Omen transformation as Goku's body instinctually acting on its own, but not due to the fact that his mind is severed from his body, although it is. His body is essentially sent into a fight or flight-like state where his survival instincts, which the great ape form has always been associated with, activated and caused his body to instinctually react the same way that it does when he's a great ape. And it's the reason that he has that iconic great ape Uzaru roar whenever he's in Ultra Instinct Omen in the anime, because it's essentially Goku letting his ego do whatever it wants. Now, what's the difference between Goku's variation of Ultra Instinct Omen in the anime at that point in the series and Ultra Instinct Omen right now in the manga, or what's known as true Ultra Instinct? Well, the difference is that Goku has figured out how to essentially cause his heart to start rapidly beating at will. So essentially this is how it works. So Ultra Instinct Omen originally in the manga was the result of Goku's mind being calm alone, not his heart. Now, his heart was not going crazy like it does in true Ultra Instinct, but he didn't have to rely on his heart being calm in order to go into Ultra Instinct Omen. So when Goku's mind is calm, he goes into Ultra Instinct Omen. The heart is not a part of the equation at all. And then when his heart and his mind is calm, that is when he goes into his full-on Ultra Instinct transformation, which is why Mira's told him that if he can essentially control the effect that shocks to emotions have on his heart and his mind, that he can essentially tap into Mastered Ultra Instinct. So he's taking the same shocks that make his power grow, and he's controlling it with a calm mind and a calm heart. Now, what differentiates Goku's version of true Ultra Instinct in the manga from what Goku did in the original anime run is that Goku has figured out how to essentially recreate what happened to him in the anime at that point at will, and that is exactly what true Ultra Instinct actually is. He's taking advantage of the fact that his heart pumps rapidly whenever he gets excited in battle, and combining that with a calm and collective mind to essentially create Ultra Instinct Omen. So let me just define the difference a little bit better for you here. So the version that we saw in the anime at the very beginning and true Ultra Instinct are the same. But true Ultra Instinct is essentially Goku being able to do what he did at the very beginning of the Tournament of Power at will at any point. Whereas the original Ultra Instinct Omen that was debuted in the manga instead is nothing like the one we saw in the anime, and is essentially Goku with a calm mind. It's just a Goku with a calm mind without the calm heart added. So essentially the equation is calm mind equals Ultra Instinct Omen. Calm heart and calm mind equals mastered Ultra Instinct, and calm mind with a rapidly beating excited heart is what you saw when Goku would accidentally tap into Ultra Instinct Omen in the anime, and purposely he's figured out how to tap into this at will in the manga through taking advantage of his heart beating rapidly in battle while also maintaining a calm mind, essentially creating his own version of Ultra Instinct, very similar to what Bruce Lee talked about in his book, The Tao of Kung Fu, where he essentially just lets his ego, which is what the great ape itself is associated with, do whatever it wants. So when you see Goku acting like a great ape in the original Ultra Instinct Omen transformation in the anime and in his new True Ultra Instinct transformation in the manga, the reason for that is because the heart beating rapidly is what replaces a calm and still heart, which essentially makes Goku act and react as though he was a great ape, because the great ape is associated with his ego or his survival instincts, instead of acting as a master martial artist as he does in Mastered Ultra Instinct. So essentially that's the difference. Whenever Goku is in his new version of Ultra Instinct Omen, it takes advantage of the fact that Saiyans' hearts naturally start beating rapidly as they're fighting in battle, and it causes Goku to fight in a more aggressive manner using his survival instincts to his advantage, and that is the difference between True Ultra Instinct, the Ultra Instinct we saw whenever Ultra Instinct Omen was first introduced in the anime, and the Ultra Instinct Omen that was first introduced in the manga. It's very important to note that those two Ultra Instinct Omens are not the same thing. The Ultra Instinct that we see now in the manga that Goku has just learned to tap into at will, that is the Ultra Instinct Omen that we saw at the beginning of the anime, because it is the result of Goku taking advantage of his survival instincts rather than just actively calming his mind at will like he did in the manga rather than the anime. So that brings me to Super Saiyan 4. Super Saiyan 4 is very, very similar in theme to Ultra Instinct Omen in the fact that it is also essentially Goku letting his ego or his great ape do whatever it wants in battle. Now, Goku's pure heart is the reason that he just doesn't go around destroying everything in Super Saiyan 4, very similar to what happened with Super Saiyan. Except instead of it being centered around the idea of rage, it's centered around Goku's ego or his great ape state as the source of his power rather than rage, which rage itself is also a survival instinct that causes you to more easily give in to your ego, which is why Super Saiyan in theme is very similar to True Ultra Instinct in Super Saiyan 4, because rage is very similar to the ego and the fact that it's a part of your survival instincts and it's more likely to cause you to act out whenever you are enraged, but Goku's pure heart allows himself to control himself through his rage. Essentially, the difference between Super Saiyan and True Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan 4 is that Goku is essentially using a clear and calm mind to just allow his ego to do whatever it wants in the True Ultra Instinct transformation. And in Super Saiyan 4, he doesn't even have to have a calm mind. He just uses his pure heart to prevent his ego from doing things that are malicious and evil, even though he himself admits in the anime that he has trouble sometimes. The whole idea is that essentially Goku is wearing his great ape on his body, and his mind as an Earthling and his pure heart as Goku is still there, but he's taking advantage of the instinctual reactions that the great ape form itself offered Goku. And that's why Super Saiyan 4 has sort of its own version of Ultra Instinct, but it's not centered around the ideas of martial arts in the same way as Ultra Instinct, because Super Saiyan 4 is centered around your survival instincts and is focused much more on the themes of evolution and survival of the fittest and more scientific and Darwinistic themes. So much like how animals adapt and react whenever they're in danger and things like that. Not that Ultra Instinct doesn't play on that as well, because it obviously does, because as I said, these forms play on your survival instinct. The true version of Ultra Instinct also directly plays on the scientific survival of the fittest themes, but Super Saiyan 4 is exclusively based around those concepts. It's based around the fact that Goku is partially animal-like, rather than using these martial arts-based concepts like in Dragon Ball Super. Everything is centered around the ideas of evolution and the natural things that we have at our disposal in order to ensure our survival. And so all of the functions that Super Saiyan 4 takes advantage of, the reason that Super Saiyan 4 doesn't have to have a calm mind in order to function in a similar way to Ultra Instinct, is because all Goku has to do is just throw himself into battle and his ego is going to do whatever it wants. He just has to try and control himself through it with his pure heart. So he's, in a way, also doing something very similar to True Ultra Instinct, where he's taking advantage of instinctual action, but his mind is still there. He's still consciously there. And so that is the one thing that Ultra Instinct really has over Super Saiyan 4, is that it does not have that mind-body connection in the same way at all whenever he goes into the mastered variant of Ultra Instinct, which is why his reaction time is so superior in comparison to Super Saiyan 4. the battle between Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan 4 and Super Dragon Ball Heroes, if you'll notice, the tail automatically grabs Goku, but Goku's reaction time is so fast that he immediately reacts and outdoes Super Saiyan 4. That's essentially Super Saiyan 4 reacting on its own in an animalistic way, whereas Goku is using the actual idea of no-mindness, the actual concept that's centered around martial arts, to essentially beat Super Saiyan 4's natural reaction time with the supernatural reaction time that comes with martial arts practices. So it's important to remember that Goku's nature is an Earthling, and the mastered version of Ultra Instinct is heavily centered around spiritual themes. It's centered around the idea that Goku literally lost his memories, so therefore emptiness, and that he learned to be an Earthling. Whenever you see Goku again defeating Super Saiyan 4, Goku in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, that is also very, very clearly symbolic of the fact that Goku lost his memory, which is his Saiyan side. So there's all kinds of symbolic cool meanings behind that fight in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but it's very important to remember the distinction between what Super Saiyan 4 represents and what Ultra Instinct represents. Super Saiyan 4 represents the instinctual action that Goku would commit whenever he was in his Great Ape form. That's the reason he can never remember what he does when he's in his Great Ape form, because he's just pure instinct at that point. Whereas Mastered Ultra Instinct represents the no-mindedness that comes with Goku's nature as a martial artist. So instead of him attacking like an animal when he's in his Great Ape state, when he can't remember or control himself and he's completely unconscious and separated from his actions, he's in his humanoid state and he's fighting in a similar manner to where he's where his mind is completely separated from his body, but he's doing it as an Earthling and he's doing it as a master martial artist. So Super Saiyan 4 essentially takes advantage of the instinctual action that Goku used to have whenever he was in his Great Ape state, which is why it has such ridiculous reaction time. It's very similar to Ultra Instinct in that way, but again, it takes advantage of completely different themes in terms of where that instinctual action comes from. And true Ultra Instinct is a true hybrid of these two concepts. It's essentially a mixture of what Goku does in Super Saiyan 4, which is allowing his ego, his survival instincts to do whatever they want in battle. Instead of it coming from his nature as an Earthling and his nature as a martial artist, instead of the attacks coming from that as a source, it's coming from his ego. It's coming from his inner nature as a Saiyan. And that's the reason you'll notice that the build-up to Goku's true Ultra Instinct is pretty much the exact opposite to whenever Goku achieved Super Saiyan 4 in GT, because instead of it being Pan reminding Goku of his Earthling nature, it's Bardock reminding Goku of his nature as a Saiyan, which I think is just ridiculously cool that it's like a reverse Super Saiyan 4 situation, but it's so similar to the themes of Super Saiyan 4 itself. It's just centered much more around martial arts. Like I said, it's like a hybrid of the evolutionary survival of the fittest themes that Dragon Ball plays on pretty often, and also the spiritual and martial arts based themes that it plays on pretty often. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.